Mold testing, the pros and cons. Whenever people get sick in their home, they want to blame something, and lately it's been mold. Now let's think about why you would test for mold. Well, if you wanted to test for mold, there's two types of mold testing: aerosols, which are viable and non-viable, and then there's the tape lifts, bulk samples, where you actually take a sample. And of course, when you send it to a lab, they do different things. Well, the bottom line is the reason you want to do mold testing would be A, maybe to show that the guy who cleaned your house of mold, mitigation contractors, did a good job. Because if he did a mold test before he started and a mold test after, then you'd know, if the house was clean. A second reason you might want to do mold testing is to show people, yes, there's more mold in my house than outside. Well, you really need to do two tests then, and you should do one outside and one inside. And generally, the mold inside will not be the same mold as outside. Now, there are certain molds that are more prone when there's water events, like your slime molds. This would be your Stachybotrys or your Penicillium or your Aspergilli, and a few on that level. And you'll find out that there's more of them inside than outside. Then you kind of have an idea that maybe there was a moisture event. If you want to show people that there's mold in your house that's making you sick, well, that's tough. I mean, sure, you could have mold in your house, but what if you've got pets and you've got cats and you've got old carpets, or you're on medication, or you have volatile organic compounds from carpets or from painting, or you live downstream from a commercial or industrial establishment, or you have combustibles that are leaking in your house, or you have negative pressure causing radon gas. What if you've got dust in the house that's making you sick, or allergens in the house? There's a lot of things in your house that can make you sick, not just mold. You need to look at everything. Some of the cons of testing for mold might be that you don't do it properly. Okay, let's say you walk in the house and no one's living in a house. They do a mold test. Well, it's not going to be the same mold test if you turned on the furnace and blew air around. Certain mold spores don't float around. They're heavy, and especially the slime molds, which are associated with water events, tend to be heavier. So you might have to aggravate the air in the house by turning on the fan or put in some blowers or something like that. Then, let's say you take 5 air samples at the same place and you send them to 5 different labs. Well, guess what? You're going to get 5 different results. Now, if you want to use your mold test in court to say, let's say your bad landlord didn't clean his gutters, or he didn't, bring in a dehumidifier, or his basement leaked, that's fine. But now your expert's going to have to prove to them that the mold is causing them sick. Now, you can prove the mold may have been caused by a moisture event, okay, but not necessarily making them sick. So then what happens is you have to have scientific evidence that mold actually makes you sick, which is a whole nother animal. That's very difficult to win in court. And I guess you could do blood testing and get antigens and correlate it with mold testing in your house, but your expert's going to be flying in from somewhere, and you're probably going to spend a lot of money going that route. Mold testing does look good on expert reports and home inspection reports, but doesn't really say much. What you need to do is you need to look for the mold. If you see mold and you smell mold, guess what? You got mold. Okay? And all molds are bad: white, yellow, black. It doesn't matter. It means you got a moisture problem, a building science problem. Something is not working in your house. Something is leaking. So what you really need is a building science guy to come out and look and see what the problem is. And a lot of times people have odors and they smell mold. They can't find it. Well, you need to figure out the anatomy of your house and how your house works with pressures and negative pressures and temperatures. And if there's thermal bypass or thermal bridging conditions, all these things got to be looked at. You want to stop the mold. How do you stop the mold? You got to get rid of the moisture. You got to condition your home.